Hello, everyone. Well, we've just got here. But I suppose if you are watching this and it's not live, hello to you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for viewing. So I'm just gonna see who decides to join this live session today. Good evening to you all, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are from. So happy to have you here. So I am just going to go ahead, I think, and get on with this presentation today about the full moon in Virgo. Hi, Tia. Is it Tia Lynn? Hello to you. Thanks for being here. Maybe I didn't pick the best time to come on live. Something I could learn from. Right, well, I'm going to get into this video because even for those of you who can't view this right now, you can view it at another stage. So hello, my name is Hannah. Welcome. I am a practical Western astrologer. Hello to you if you're new, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. So happy to be here today. If you are interested in any of my services, you can go to hannahselsewhere.com. You can find my practical astrology ebooks, merch, the astrology guide. Of course, also make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the bell. But we're going to be talking about the full moon in Virgo today. Hi, Jenny, is it? Hi to you. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the full moon in Virgo today. So it's taking place on the 7th of March, so it's still a few days to go. But I just wanted to get this information out today. I hope you can hear me clearly, by the way. I hope you can see me well. Let me know if there are any issues. So with that in mind, let's get into this. Did I move? No, I don't think so. Depends on when you last saw me, if you know what I mean. Right. So I'm going to be presenting this presentation with you all. So here we are. Hi there. Welcome. Good. There's more people joining. So glad to have you here. So the full moon in Virgo will be taking place on the 7th of March. So these are just some of the key areas. Hello, Amy. So good to have you here. Oh, Jenny. Yeah, I get it. Okay, great. Yeah, it's a different room. It's a different room to where I usually record my YouTube videos. And yes, hello, Amy. So happy to have you here. And that is so cool. You have a stellium in Virgo. So this full moon in Virgo, of course, will make a conjunction to your Virgo placement. So you may feel this very strongly. Okay, so here we have some of the key areas that we're going to be looking at. Firstly, the sun in Pisces. So the sun is currently in Pisces. It will oppose this full moon in Virgo at 16 degrees. And then we're also going to be looking at that Mercury in Pisces energy. So Mercury actually just entered Pisces very recently. So that Mercury in Pisces energy will also be opposing the sun the moon, the moon. And then also we have this Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus conjunction. And we'll also look at a couple of other parts of the astrology. So looking at Neptune, square Mars, sextile Venus, and of course, Pluto and Saturn being at their critical degrees, 29 degrees. Of course, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius in the next couple of weeks, and then Saturn's going to enter Pisces on the 7th of March, which will occur just a few hours after this full moon takes place. So a lot of changes going on. I mean, I did make a video about March and how March is just such an eventful month for us all. There is a lot of movement. There's a lot of change. this month. So the first thing here is this full moon in Virgo will take place at 16 degrees. Now, the number 16, when looking at numerology, will then equivalent to the number 7. And the number 7 in numerology represents things like our intuition, spirituality. Hi, welcome. Good to have you here. Spirituality, there is a very philosophical quality to the number 7. And of course, looking at the intellectual side, the analytical side, and truth seeking. And I think that this is quite fitting actually with the Virgo Pisces axis. When we look at this axis, it really does point toward the more analytical, intellectual parts of ourselves, but also that intuitive and deeply, deeply spiritual parts of ourselves. And then naturally, if we look at full moons, full moons can be tied to releasing, cleansing, resetting. We tend to close chapters when it comes to full moons, because of that release. And there's also this illumination of sorts. We illuminate certain areas. So really depending on where the moon shows up in our charts. And there can be very strong emotions during a full moon. And we can also reap rewards. So with this full moon naturally being in the sign of Virgo, this could look like us really analyzing our emotions. We may compartmentalize our emotions as well. We may feel somewhat more level-headed and grounded. This is a very earthy full moon. And there's also this likelihood of us trying not to overreact to things. Of course, there is all of that Pisces energy going on. So Pisces can be such an emotional sign, heavily emotional. But with that moon in Virgo opposite, this can give us the opportunity to try to, keep somewhat level-headed rather than getting swept away or drowning in our emotions, so to speak. Now, with that being said, this full moon in Virgo can also point toward higher levels of nervousness and anxiety. And there's also the opportunity to provide support toward ourselves, toward others in practical ways, and to show support in gentle ways too. Virgo energy is a very helpful energy. And this is also an opportunity for us to ask for help. Now, with that being said, Virgos usually aren't the ones to ask other people for help, but I just think that that is important to keep in mind. Virgos can have the tendency of taking everything on their own. So if things do become too overwhelming, then, I suppose it's about being able to ask for some type of help from others. As well here, I would say that our health is really being called to question. So looking at us slowing down our nervous system. Even when I'm speaking today, I do feel a lot less nervous in comparison to how I did whenever I was live during the month of March. So I'm pretty sure that the moon had just moved into Gemini during that live session for me. And that meant that the moon was in my 10th house. And then, of course, with the square to that Pisces energy as well, I did feel very scattered. But still, Virgo energy is kind of suggesting, right, it's time to slow things down. It's time to ground ourselves. And also, it's time to acknowledge that maybe we have really busy lifestyles. We have really busy schedules. So with this all being said, with the moon and Virgo qualities, the full moon is kind of pointing toward the resetting of such things, releasing of such things, closing chapters, reaping rewards. This could look like you resetting your nervous system. This could look like us closing chapters when it comes to order, when it comes to our routines, when it comes to how we support ourselves, when it comes to our health as well. Oh, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. And then also, with the strong emotions being connected with full moons, yeah, sure, there's perhaps a likelihood of some of us becoming overly nervous, okay? But there's also then that ability to to kind of calm ourselves down and to be somewhat more level-headed and rational, making rational decisions. And I would also say with this too, routine can really be helpful when it comes to our sense of security and safety. It's interesting because I tend to notice how a couple of days before the full moon takes place, even new moons, I can kind of sense the energy. I can feel it a bit. And what I'm further going to say here is just drawing from my own personal experiences. Today, I have a Virgo rising here, so this may be a lot more stronger for me. But today, I just felt this need to clean my house, to get everything reorganized, to attend to the order of things, and to be practical as well, I suppose. So yeah, sure, the moon right now is in Leo. I think it's just entered Leo. Maybe that's even adding to a level of positivity and enthusiasm on my part, on all of our parts perhaps too. But still, the point is that you can kind of sense when a full moon is coming, when a new moon is coming, because you can kind of feel those energies a few days before. All right, so let's go on to the next slide here. Yeah, so looking at those Virgo keywords, we were kind of touching on these things, but thinking about self-analysis, dedication, being the fixer, being the solver, being systematic, having a routine, creating order, healing as well is a very Virgo thing. Amy, I am from Northern Ireland. Yeah. And that's cool. Welcome. Okay, so also cleanliness, hygiene as well, discretion, using discernment, being knowledgeable. Though, when it comes to Virgo energy too, there is this likelihood of us being somewhat dogmatic and overly critical and overly judgmental toward ourselves, judgmental and critical toward other people. And so, therefore, during this full moon, it could be that we close chapters when it comes to such things. We release, there's a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go when it comes to such things. Even thinking about the releasing, the resetting when it comes to the self-analysis. When it comes to Virgo, it can be helpful to analyze ourselves, so that we can improve, so that we can do better. But things can go too far when it comes to Virgo energy. So just keeping that in mind. Though, even if we think about reaping rewards, during this full moon in Virgo, it could be that we reap rewards when it comes to our knowledge, when it comes to our cleanliness. So let's look to Mercury. So the interesting thing about this is Mercury is the dispositor of this full moon because Mercury, of course, does rule Virgo. And it's in the opposite sign, Pisces. And so in this sign, it's in its fall. Now, with the opposition, the orb is still quite wide, but there's still an opposition going on. So what does this suggest? Well, this can suggest that when it comes to our decision making during this full moon, we may want to go with our gut, with our intuition. We may want to go with our feelings. There's also the ability to be creative and to improvise as well. However, with the moon opposing Mercury, this could be a whole situation of our feelings versus logic. This could be the balance between these things as well. So looking at how well our feelings and our logic are balanced, how well our heart and our mind are balanced. Of course, looking down there is the heart versus mind part of this as well. And I think also there's something coming up about reflection versus harsh criticism, kind of going back to what I was mentioning earlier. When can we take things too far? When can we read into things far too much, and then it goes past the point of it being constructive and helpful. Another thing as well, even when it comes to these signs, is Virgo energy is very much the helper, the fixer, but then Pisces can be the martyr. Pisces can be the savior, the rescuer. So I would say with this can be an opportunity for us to be somewhat sensitive and gentle toward ourselves, toward others. But naturally, it's also about considering how we may sacrifice ourselves or overextend ourselves, and then we're disappointed, and then we feel like we're victims in a way. So I suppose in this respect, looking at possible boundaries. Though, with that being said, we will, like I said, Saturn will be moving into the sign of Pisces just a few hours after, and Saturn is very much the planet tied to boundaries. Still, with this energy, with Mercury opposing the moon, it could be this whole notion of us really asking ourselves, what is the truth? When we really look within ourselves, what is the truth? What do I need? How do I feel? And considering the stories that we tell ourselves, how true are the stories we tell ourselves? How do we try to convince ourselves of certain things? And really also having these deeply spiritual realizations throughout the process. Maybe you will have these very intuitive and spiritual realizations about yourself. Moving on to Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus being conjunct. So again, there are those orbs happening too, but Jupiter is the dispositor of both the Sun and Mercury in Pisces here. So what could this look like? Well, I'm going to be very honest here in saying that this full moon is going to get us to really face ourselves, especially with Saturn moving into Pisces a few hours after. This is about being fully honest with ourselves, honest about our growth, honest about our healing, honest about our identity, our self-worth, becoming awakened to who you truly are, opening your heart, and even looking at how real you are in a sense and not lying to ourselves. With the Pisces energy, of course, it could be suggested that we would rather bury our head in the sand. We would rather not face reality. We would rather not face the challenges and the difficulties going on in our lives. But all this Aries energy is actually saying, no, you have to face yourself. It's time to be brave. It's time to expand our courage. Now, of course, with that being said, there's also the opportunity for great reward and fortune, when it comes to our passions, when it comes to the things that motivate us, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to love. So there can, of course, be these very rewarding themes to this full moon as well, these very hopeful, inspirational themes. But it's still about sitting with what is and accepting what is. And being brave about this new version of ourselves, so to speak, and going through a very powerful renewal. And perhaps also addressing those times whenever our identity has been shunned or rejected. So, yeah, powerful emotions, I would say, coming up during this full moon in Virgo too. Now, another thing is, Mars is the dispositor of the Aries energy, so the dispositor of this Jupiter, Chiron, Venus conjunction. And the Mars energy then is in Gemini, and it's making a square to Neptune in Pisces. Right. So this is essentially about us looking at what is true versus what is deceptive. And then if we also consider as well, there is that Saturn conjunction to Mercury. The orb, again, it's quite wide, but looking at this just overall, looking at the bigger picture, I suppose, this is about us making those harder decisions. And I think it can be really hard for us to be honest with ourselves when it comes to what is true versus what is deceptive. And also looking at where we show curiosity versus how we can be fearful. Furthermore, this is about us assessing what your heart wants. What is your heart saying during this full moon? Accepting love is also a big theme here, and investigating those deeper layers. Now, at the same time, it could also be suggested that we feel low energy during this full moon, even though moons can get us charged up. But yeah, with this kind of square to Mars, with Neptune, maybe we feel low energy, we feel confused, we feel conflicted, we feel uncertain. I just get this sense that during this full moon, it's like we are being shown a lot of doors, a lot of options, or it's that we can feel like we're being pulled in all of these different directions. But essentially, I think it's about really looking within at our hearts, as corny as that may sound. But yeah, there is something here about the opening up of our hearts. So Mars will also sextile Venus. I just mentioned there about our hearts, thinking about love. So what could this look like? I mean, this could look like us having talks about love, about relationships, even thinking about the relationship that we have with ourselves. This could look like us communicating new goals. What do you want? What is your heart saying? How can you move forward? And looking at themes of youthfulness and freedom and adventure. There can be these exciting moments that we experience. And even just with Venus and Jupiter being in Aries, many of us may be feeling motivated and just ready to move forward with a new project, with a new plan. And at the same time, with that Mars energy making that sextile to Venus, it's like, okay, versatility, being open to change, being opinionated, communicating. Now, on the flip side of this, it could also be suggested that we're more likely to get into confrontations and disagreements. But through that challenge, we can change, we can take on a challenge. Disagreements and confrontations can help us even reach a resolve with other people. Such things can also give us greater clarity when it comes to what we want too. And let me just go forward. Okay. The last thing then that I want to touch on is Pluto and Saturn, both being at their critical degrees. Can you feel the change on the horizon, everyone? Can you feel it? Can you feel this change of direction, this change of purpose? I mean, I certainly can. With Saturn being in my 6th house, transiting my 6th house for the past 3 years, and it's going to move into my 7th house. Already for me, I'm noticing these themes to do with my relationships and my partnerships being highlighted. Still, this is also a time period during this full moon where we are going to reflect on the past 3 years. Really think about the lessons you have learned when it comes to community, team building, when it comes to your uniqueness. Of course, Saturn has been in Aquarius. Perhaps you are sitting with certain consequences that you're happy with, certain experiences you've been through, and you're reflecting and you're like, wow, okay, I've really grown. I've changed as a person. But you may also be looking at certain consequences and thinking, how did I get here? I shouldn't have made that decision. My gosh, Saturn is very much tied to our karma. And it could be that there are certain things that we may look back on and think, damn, I shouldn't have done that. I could have made a better decision there. But there's also the opportunity, I suppose, too, to change something or to learn from our experiences, to learn from the past, and to create something new. Now, I also want to say, make sure to look at your natal chart just to kind of see, what placements you have, especially within the sign of Pisces, early degrees, within the sign of Aquarius, early degrees. because it could be suggested that you're going to feel the changes more strongly, more heavily as Pluto and Saturn move throughout March. Now, we will be talking about these transits, so particularly looking at Saturn moving into Pisces and then Pluto moving into Aquarius. We're going to be talking about these transits in the Cosmic Warriors Club, cosmicwarriorsclub.com. It's coming out in the next couple of weeks. I hope to see you there. So yeah, there will be a talk about these transits coming up. Still, during this full moon in Virgo, perhaps it's that we feel apprehensive. We feel worried about what's to come. You know, the unknown can be a scary thing. It can be scary for many of us. But this is also an opportunity to look at a new challenge, a new stage of our lives. Could be that painful emotions come up, or the new is painful. Like it's like this ripping the band-aid off kind of energy, right? It's just like, right, are you ready? Go. So there can be moments in our lives where it can be that difficult, and that's that daunting. But there's also the ability here with the changes, and even the reflections that we're doing, to see and recognize how we can develop new skills moving forward. Perhaps there's the opportunity to follow our dreams, to follow the things that we truly desire, and to release fear, to release, you know, these parts of ourselves that are like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared about what's to come. But then again, going back to the opening up of our hearts. So I suppose embracing more love, embracing, you know, more of that view of this is an opportunity. But then again, maybe it's both, right? You know, it's okay to feel fear, I guess, and just to push forward anyway. Maybe we have no other choice, you know, than to embrace a change, to accept a change, rather. Still, with that being said, it could be that many of us go through this spiritual awakening of sorts as these planets really start to move. But during this full moon in Virgo, I think it's just that there is a lot of reflection. We're kind of in this in-between place right now before things do start to move. So this is an opportunity for us to really get quiet with ourselves too, and to assess, you know, what we have learned and what we would like to change moving forward. All right, so with that being said, let's get into your horoscopes. So before we do get into this, I just want to mention here, again, I want to remind you that the Cosmic Warriors Club is coming in the next couple of weeks. In that club, there will be more details, extra information, horoscopes, so looking at more detailed horoscopes, monthly, weekly, daily horoscopes. They're all written, moon reports as well. There will be online events, so looking at major transits. Seasonal videos as well will be available, and live Q&As. So you can actually ask me questions about the transits, and of course looking at online chats. So I can't wait for that to come. Again, it's cosmicwarriorsclub.com, and I hope that you can be a part of it. Okay, so I'm just going to take a drink of water before we get into your signs. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Aurora, is it? Peaceful Aura. Hi, welcome. Oh, cool. Very good. I'm a Virgo rising as well. I have a Virgo rising. Okay, so let's look at the Aries sun, moon, and risings. So this full moon in Virgo is going to take place in your 6th house. So looking at this likelihood of you reaping rewards when it comes to your daily habits, when it comes to your routines. This could look like you performing a big reset when it comes to these areas. Looking at your working life here, illuminate this. So basically this full moon will illuminate your working life. Now, with that being said, of course, there is this in conjunction then happening between the moon in Virgo to your Aries placements, your Aries energy. So basically, perhaps what's needed here is just just a little bit of adjustment, okay? Readjusting things. And it could feel like, well, things can feel a little bit tense. I suppose when it comes to sixth house energy, the mundane, it can feel a bit boring. And so maybe you're just having to attend to all of those daily needs and responsibilities of yours, which can feel a bit meh. Okay, looking at Taurus, Sun, Moon, and risings. So of course, this moon energy will be making a lovely trine to your Taurus, there. So it's going to take place in your 5th house of creativity, enjoyment, and pleasure. So this can be quite a harmonious time, an enjoyable time for you. You may actually find pleasure in organizing and readjusting things. You may also feel a greater need to create and to just reorganize yourself in this way, and to even look at the improvements and betterment that you can add toward your creative interests. So looking at any hobbies that you have. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this full moon in Virgo is going to take place in your 4th house. So looking at family, home, your emotional security, your safety. So I will say here that there is the square then. So things can feel a little bit resistant. Or, maybe it's that you feel extra emotional or sensitive, or you get caught up in some nervousness and anxious feelings. Though still, this is an opportunity for you to make a reset when it comes to your emotional security and your safety, when it comes to your home life, to reorganize things within these areas. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and risings. So this full moon is going to take place in your 3rd house. So looking at your mindset, looking at learning, your education. So I suppose in a way, you may be more in your head during this full moon. You may be analyzing a lot more. This may be an opportunity for you to make more rational decisions about your education, about learning. Maybe you release something in regards to your education and learning. Still, with the sextile here to this moon in Virgo, this can create more of a kind of smooth and helpful energy for you. Also, perhaps it's that you feel a greater urge to support others with your words, but you're going to do so in practical ways. Leo, Sun, Moon, and risings. Okay, so this full moon is taking place in your 2nd house of your resources, your earning potential, looking at your skills. Really, this is a good opportunity for you to make some fine adjustments, fine tuning when it comes to your skills, especially if you're the type of Leo who, you have a type of service that you provide. And so, this is an opportunity for you to polish things up, clean things up, reorganizing your finances, your resources, just getting very clear about these things and just having that reset. And reaping rewards possibly as well when it comes to your earning potential. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and risings. All right, so this is taking place in your 1st house. All right, so this is, of course, the house tied to your identity, your ambitions, your aims, your appearance. So this looks like you possibly making a change or closing a chapter when it comes to your aims and your ambitions. This could look like you releasing something in regards to your appearance. For me, I'm just going to draw from my own sort of personal experience with this because I have a Virgo rising. I am noticing my change in perspective when it comes to how I appear, when it comes to how I look. I'm typically the type of person who will pick myself apart. I will overanalyze. I will be overly critical of myself. But I am noticing, especially over the past few weeks, how much less I am doing that. Maybe it's also an age thing. But yeah, how much less I'm doing that, and even putting myself out there in terms of this right now with a live session, that is kind of pointing toward this letting go of sorts, this releasing of sorts when it comes to the critical mind that can take over in terms of my ambitions, in terms of the things that I want to do in the world. So yeah, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings, this could be an opportunity where you let go of parts of the critical thoughts, and you may be resetting when it comes to your rational decisions. Maybe you are much more rational and you feel much more level-headed, like you can do anything, right? Of course, there is that conjunction happening to your Virgo placements. Moving on. Hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm just flying through these. Thank you for being here. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So this is taking place, the full moon is taking place in your house, your 12th house, looking at retreating, recharging, and relaxation. Indeed, this is a time for you to really go behind the scenes. You know what? Self-care, Libra. Self-care during this full moon. Take care of yourselves. Make time for yourselves. Get a bath. Do all of your skincare routine. Read a good book, just escape for a little while, you know? Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this is going to take place in your 11th house this full moon. So looking at your clubs, your hopes, and your visions. So this could look like you truly reaping rewards when it comes to your communities and your teams. Yeah, really seeing how much you've progressed when it comes to clubs that you're a part of. And even if we think about here, there's that sextile happening. So this can be quite a helpful and smooth energy for you. Moreover, it could be that you reset things in regards to your hopes for the future. You know, maybe there are some tweaks you want to make, some improvements you want to make. So this full moon is an opportunity for you to really get clear, to make rational decisions and to polish things up. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This full moon is taking place in your 10th house of reputation, your achievements, your ambitions. Wow. Yeah, this is really a good time for you to reap rewards when it comes to your achievements, to really look at how far you've come, to acknowledge how hard you've worked, to acknowledge the time that you've put in, the dedication that you put in, the long hours you put in, and resetting things when it comes to your reputation as well. So yeah, this is a good time to maybe reassess your skills and how you have improved. And such things can help you when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to your ambitions. Even here, though, sorry, just to take this a step back, I feel like I am talking 100 miles a second. I'm going really fast here. I just need to calm down a bit. Okay. Another thing I want to say is there is the square going on to the 10th house. So perhaps there is also some type of resistance, right? So it's like, oh, I don't know if I really want to change anything, or oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. So there can be some resistance or hesitation. So maybe it's just a good time to reassess. Maybe kind of makes me think about what I just did there in terms of just sitting with a feeling rather than going in, jumping really quickly. Okay, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So this full moon is taking place in your 9th house. So looking at your higher learning, your beliefs, exploration, and of course there is the trine happening. So this can be quite a smooth and harmonious process for you. So what this could look like is you really reaping rewards when it comes to how much you have learned, the knowledge you have gained, the knowledge that you share with other people, resetting things in terms of your exploration, and maybe deciding, you know what, I want to develop a new routine, a new strategy. I want to create order in a new way when it comes to exploration and higher learning. And of course, considering here your beliefs, you know, maybe it's that you can quite clearly see how helpful your beliefs can be for you and how your beliefs can impact your working life, your schedules, your routines, and so on. Okay, Aquarius, sun, moon, and risings. So this full moon will take place in your 8th house. So looking at intimacy, your psychology, your dark side, transformations, really heavy stuff, but also very emotional stuff, very sensitive stuff. In all honesty, it could be that there are some hard decisions to be made here, Aquarius, some decisions that you may not want to make, may not want to look at. Yeah, 8th house energy can be challenging, right? Still, it's looking beneath the surface here. And I think that this full moon is going to really illuminate what needs cleaned up within these intimate relationships of yours, what decisions need to be made rationally, logically, and even looking at these transformations that you go through when it comes to being rational. And maybe you can be too rational at times, too caught up in your head at times. I'm kind of like saying this because I am an Aquarius and it's hitting a really true spot for me right now. Right, so moving on to the last sign, and that is Pisces. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. So this full moon in Virgo is going to occur in your 7th house opposite. So looking at your relationships, your customers, your clients. So this is an opportunity for you to make these resets when it comes to these areas. This is an opportunity for you to look at how you can polish things up, create a new order, a new routine. And the thing about this as well is with the opposition, yeah, it kind of goes back to the whole thing I was talking about earlier, where it's like the mind versus the heart. Feelings versus logic. Could be that you feel a little bit unsure about what you're supposed to do within your relationships, about what you need when it comes to any clients and customers you have. So I suppose what's important to keep in mind is trying to remain somewhat level-headed if you can, and making decisions carefully. Instead of perhaps jumping forward or making decisions out of a panicky state with the full moon being in your 7th house, maybe there's something here about you, slowing it down a bit. And then, of course, looking at how you can release and let go when it comes to certain relationships that may not be the most healthiest. Okay, I'll say that as well. Still, this is also an opportunity for you to reap rewards within your relationships too. So that is definitely a big benefit. Okay, so that is the full moon in Virgo. That's all of the horoscopes for this full moon in Virgo. Thank you all so much for listening today. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something from it, that you find it to be helpful. Please, please, please let me know if you did. I would really appreciate your feedback. And I just hope that this full moon serves you well. Again, if you're interested in joining the Cosmic Warriors Club, you can by going to thecosmicwarriorsclub.com, and that will be up in the next couple of weeks. And then there is my website there where all of my services are there as well, hannahselsewhere.com. Naturally, whenever you do book a reading with me, even when you join the club, I will go into a lot more detail, a lot more depth when it comes to things, and things are much more personal for you. So overall, thank you all so much for listening today. And if you did enjoy this live stream, then you can buy me a coffee by going to buymeacoffee.com/hannahastro. And then there is that little code there on the screen, which you can take a photo of and it will load for you. Anyways, that is me. Again, I do feel like I have been talking so fast in this live stream today. I hope that I didn't talk too fast. Let me know. But anyway, that's everything. Thank you all so much, and I cannot wait to be on live again, and to join you all once again. But with all of that being said, yeah, thanks for watching. Have a lovely weekend, And yeah, happy full moon, everyone. Bye.